Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Tuesday, June 22nd. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Minnesota game is in 72 days. The game against Michigan in 158 days. Tuesday is going to be another busy day in the craziest month in college football history. Ohio State set to host another camp and welcome in some very highly touted prospects. Could be a commitment coming as soon as today, maybe. Was a very interesting post on Instagram on Monday that could be a positive sign for Ohio State and their chances for JT Tuimoloau. A lot to talk about today. Buckeye Scoop recruiting analyst Alex Gleitman is here to go through all of that. Alex, let's start with the possible commitment. CJ Hicks has been hinting on social media that there may be multiple booms coming, but it sounds like running back Dallan Hayden in the class of 2022 could be the first, could be as early as today. So let's just start with what kind of prospect is Dallan Hayden?
Yeah, I mean, I like Dallan Hayden a lot. He's for sure a 4-star running back, and he's a guy who could play at this level. You know, I think the rankings, people get caught up in the rankings, and he's ranked, I don't know, something like 230th or 230th, 240th, something in that range, and 24th overall running back, I think, by the composite. And I would love to see 23 running backs that are better than him in this 2022 class. You look at the film, I mean, you see a guy with really good vision. He knows how to find the hole, hit it, get through it. I think something that college coaches taught me to look for on some of these highlights when you don't have the full game film is, do these guys get caught from behind? And you watch Hayden's highlights, and he not once does he get caught behind. Sometimes guys have highlights on there, and it's a really good run, but someone ends up tripping them down at the 10 or something like that, and there's none of that. Once he's gone, he's pretty much untouched. And I'm not saying he's got the wiggle that Curtis Samuel does, or he has the straight line speed that Jamison Williams or Ted Ginn did, but he's got enough of it. He's got enough of both. And he can run inside the tackles. He can run outside. The things we don't know off the highlights that we have, how good is he at catching the ball? How good is he at pass blocking? Catching the ball, you have to kind of have a feel with your hands, but pass blocking is something you could definitely learn. So I think you watch the film, you see a kid who could absolutely play at Ohio State. And when you talk about looking at the year before with Travion Henderson and Evan Pryor ahead of you and all the reports on Mayan Williams, it's not going to be that easy to get a stud running back in 2022. And I think Ohio State got someone who, again, for me, I don't necessarily look at the rankings. I don't even necessarily look at the offers because half of them are fake right now. But you look at the programs that actually want this kid. I mean, Notre Dame would take him, and they have a pretty strong history of running backs. They're a pretty good program that is at least competing for a playoff spot every single year, if not getting one. I mean, obviously Tennessee and the SEC, Oregon, top program in my opinion in the Pac-12 right now. These are all programs that would take Dallan Hayden today. So Ohio State has had this guy up there with Nick Singleton and a couple other guys, Gavin Sawchuk, a couple other of their top running back targets. And so for them to land him, which I have a pretty good feeling that it's going to happen, whether it's today or sometime in the very near future, I think it's a really good win for Ohio State. And I think this is a kid who can absolutely start games for them at some point during his career.
Well, if he does commit, he is likely to be the only back they take in the class of 2022, according to what most of the consensus among our recruiting gurus. And as you mentioned, they did take Travion Henderson and Evan Pryor for 2021. So it seems like, and that's a bunch. You don't need 10 running backs in your room. So you're not going to take two guys every year for 5 years. But it also seems like they feel reasonably good about their chance with a couple of guys in the class of 2023 as well. So this may be a little bit of a sandwich year between a 2 and a 2. So can you let people know about some of the names to know for a year from now, the 2023 running backs that they are feeling like they might be in decent shape with?
Yeah, there's 4 guys who are the 4 top running backs in America, and Ohio State, I think, has a good chance at landing. I mean, they're not going to land all 4. Chance of landing any one of those 4, if not 2 of them. I would be shocked if it's 2 of them, but I think they have a good chance of landing any one of the 4. And it's the number 1 running back in the country, and Richard Young from down in Florida. He's a kid who just visited a couple weeks back, and I think Ohio State is positioned at the top or one of the top 2 schools along with Georgia there. Georgia and Ohio State could end up going at it again, and a couple other schools for Trayon Webb, kind of ranked as an athlete actually, but out of Jacksonville Trinity, which is the same school that produced John Wade and Marcus Crowley. He's an excellent athlete. And I think Ohio State had him working out last week or a couple weeks back now as a running back with Tony Alford. So that's a kid that they're looking at, and he's one of the top backs in the country. And then the last 2 guys, Justice Haynes, a kid they had for a visit a few weeks back, same high school as they got Steel Chambers out of in Georgia a few cycles ago. And he's a kid that absolutely loved his Ohio State visit, and I could see ending up in scarlet and gray. And then the last kid is really interesting because he was supposed to visit last weekend. That visit got canceled. And you thought, okay, maybe it's not the best sign because he canceled his visit. He was committed to Texas, but now he has decommitted to Texas. That's Ruben Owens. And the Ohio State visit is now going to be rescheduled for some point, either this summer or fall, probably more likely the fall. But I think this one is going to go a long way. He's another kid, top 3, 4 back in America, maybe top 2 up there with Richard Young from the state of Texas, where Ohio State's had a lot of success over the last at least handful of years. And so I would say Ruben Owens, Justice Haynes, Richard Young, and Trayon Webb are 4 guys Ohio State has a great shot at. If they get any one of those 4, they're going to be in really good shape.
You mentioned a couple of those guys have visited recently. We just watched Trayon Webb working with Tony Alford last week, 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week. And today is yet another camp day at Ohio State. I am personally really excited to see a different Florida kid, Brandon Inniss. He is the top-ranked receiver in the class of 2023, 5-star prospect from American Heritage High School in Florida. That's the program that produced Torrance Gibson, if that name rings a bell. At this point, I think everyone knows not to bet against Brian Hartline with these guys, in terms of, how could he possibly land another 5-star wide receiver? Like, well, just watch. He keeps doing it. So probably not smart to bet against him. So what kind of prospect is Inniss? What does he look like? And how would you handicap Ohio State's chances right now?
Yeah, he's a kid. He's about 6'1", 190 pounds. And he's not a burner. He's not going to go out there and run a 4.3 time right now or 4.4 time, even a 4.5 maybe even. He's just a strong, physical kid. He'd go up and get the ball. He's got really good hands. He runs really good routes. I don't want to put like a Julio Jones comparison on any high school kid, but he reminds me of him a little bit. I think he's a surefire thing. He's a top 10 kid. So when you talk about top 10 kids nationally that are wide receivers, look at who Ohio State's landed, the Emeka Egbukas of the world and the Julian Flemings. He's an elite, can't miss prospect. In my opinion, I know Fleming didn't do all that much in year 1, but like any of those guys are, he fits in very well with all those top ranked guys Ohio State's gotten over the last few years, the Garrett Wilsons of the world. He's just a surefire thing. And Ohio State has a good chance. It's going to be a 2-day visit. So he's going to be working out with Brian Hartline today. He's going to be working out with Brian Hartline tomorrow. That's a lot of time to spend with someone. And I think that's going to be really good for Ohio State. Brian Hartline obviously played for the Miami Dolphins. A lot of these kids grew up rooting for the Dolphins or at least watching them on TV, saw Brian Hartline on TV. Maybe they didn't remember him from Ohio State, but they probably remember him, at least Brandon Inniss, in this case, South Florida kid, remembers him from the Miami Dolphins. And Brian Hartline's young enough. He relates to these kids still from a cultural standpoint. He obviously, proof is in the pudding. He's done it in the league. And I think just his approach and his, the way he connects with these kids, I think it's really going to go well. And I would be shocked if Ohio State is not a top school for Brandon Inniss, along with, right now it's so early for him in the process, but Oklahoma and Alabama and the Florida schools, I would say, are probably going to be, I'm sure you throw Georgia in there. Those are probably going to be the main competitors for Brandon Inniss with Ohio State.
We were talking right before we hit record, and you look at the list of players visiting this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's like, yeah, this is probably the best day, potentially the best day, and at least the best 2 days of camp that we have seen in this month. And we've seen a lot of players come through. Give us someone else on the list for this week who maybe you're most interested in seeing and having our team kind of lay eyes on in person.
Oh man, it's interesting because you got guys like Caden Curry who you're not worried about from an evaluation standpoint, but you're just like I'm just curious to see how he vibes with Larry Johnson at camp if he's working out, which I think he is gonna. I'm looking down the list here. I mean, Brenan Vernon's finally getting to campus today, and Luke Montgomery is going to work out with stud at offensive line. Man, it's tough. Is Dante Moore? If Dante Moore from Michigan comes, maybe him as far as actually seeing how he does. He's a 2023 kid who everyone's highly touting. Supposedly pretty high on Ohio State early on. You got the regional ties. You're close enough to be able to land him, and to get him from Michigan, where obviously Michigan and Michigan State are going to want him. Pretty much every school in America is going to want the kid. He's pretty good. I want to see how he stacks up to some of the other quarterbacks that Ohio State offered this summer. I want to see what you guys think watching him throw the ball. So maybe I'll say Dante Moore. I want to see some Brenan Vernon versus Luke Montgomery action in some one-on-ones. I think that'll be pretty fun. So looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, the winner loser period at the end of the morning. It's the big guys in the morning, so the offensive linemen, defensive linemen in the morning, and then it's the linebackers and defensive backs and running backs and wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks in the afternoon. I am really looking forward to that winner loser period at the end of the morning today, because you're right, Luke Montgomery versus like Brenan Vernon, that's going to be big time. Caden Curry, that is going to be worth the price of admission all by itself. So that definitely looking forward to that. Last thing I wanted to ask you about, some Buckeye Scoop members noticed something interesting on Instagram on Monday. Jack Sawyer posted a photo of him working out, wearing a shirt with the number 40 on it. Now, that was his high school number, but he wore 33 in spring ball this year. So the message board detective said, aha, JT Tuimoloau's high school number is 33. So does Jack Sawyer know something? Is Jack Sawyer clearing the decks so JT Tuimoloau can wear his high school number when he comes to Ohio State? Alex, are we all reading too much into this, or is this another little sign? We keep hearing these little positive signs, these little positive indications that JTT could be close to, it's at least leaning towards Ohio State, could be close to maybe committing to Ohio State in a week or two. Are we reading too much into this? What's going on? Talk us. I guess we're not on the ledge, so I guess talk us out onto the ledge. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this analogy is working.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We should just check. We just got to check with a few people to actually see what the deal there is. I wouldn't have been shocked. Like, I won't be shocked if we find out that Jack was just planning to wear 40 all along. There was his high school number, and for whatever reason, I don't know, they gave him 33, or he originally thought maybe he wanted to go to 33 and was able to switch back, or someone was going to wear 40 and now they're not. That was a veteran and get to kind of earn his stripe type of thing. So it could be as simple as that, but the timing is certainly very coincidental. I'll say that. And I wouldn't be surprised if part of the sell to JTT was, you really want to wear 33? Like, it's yours, man. And let me show you. I'm going to switch to 40 right now. Because Jack was a big part of that visit this weekend. He's a big part of, dude, let's team up and wreak havoc on the Big Ten. On the defensive line from both sides. And so I wouldn't be shocked if it was it wasn't just a coincidence, but we definitely have to look into it. It's definitely something. Normally I just dismiss that stuff, but I think that I wouldn't be shocked if there's something to this.
Yeah, the fact that they had Zach Harrison wear 33 as a true freshman, and then he switched to 9 last year. But are they starting to do the Larry Johnson has the 5-star freshman defensive end wear 33? Maybe. This is probably not quite enough data to make a firm conclusion, but at least interesting, at least something to talk about. There's a reason we didn't lead with that. That's the end of the show. Just a fun little thing to end with. Just, hey, if you're looking for one little more positive thing to feel a little bit good about Ohio State's chances, JT Tuimoloau, there you go. Jack Sawyer changed his number. So that'll do it for today. We will have another bonus episode up on Tuesday, early afternoon, a little later on this afternoon, talking about all the stuff we got to see this morning. You just heard Alex talk about all the guys we're going to see this morning. Then we'll do a little preview of some of the guys we'll be seeing in the afternoon. That'll be in the morning scoop feeds. We'll drop that in the morning scoop feed for you in the early afternoon. You guys have given us a ton of positive feedback on those, so that's fine. You like them? We'll keep giving them to you. That's not a problem. We're happy to do it for you. Just as a little thank you for subscribing. You can also find those on YouTube. We'll do those. We'll do a live video this morning before camp. Mark and Bill and Kirk probably will do that before camp on Tuesday, and then I'll be there and at lunchtime with them to kind of do a morning recap and a look ahead. Tomorrow morning on the Morning Scoop, I'm going to guess we're going to do a recap of our Tuesday, maybe a little look ahead at Wednesday, because, man, there is a lot going on this week. So that is all coming up at youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. You can also find those on all of your podcast platforms of choice. Just search Buckeye Scoop to find those. You can find them in the Morning Scoop feed. Tony Gerdeman and I did a new episode of Buckeye Weekly on Monday. We have another one coming out Tuesday. As I said, there are a million things going on. So if we have stuff to talk about, we're going to keep talking about it with you, since you guys do seem to enjoy those podcasts, do seem to enjoy these shows. So we're happy to do that for you, and we're happy to keep you entertained as well at BuckeyeScoop.com. Our Ask the Insiders board has been hopping for pretty much the whole month. There's going to be more fun stuff today. All these camp days are always a blast. Have lots of videos, lots of interviews, lots of insight analysis from our whole team of insiders. It's all on our Ask the Insiders board at BuckeyeScoop.com. All you have to do is become a member, sign up today, and you can have a chance to win Nevada's 4 tickets to the Oregon game. You just have to be a member before July 4th to have a chance to win those. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you a little afternoon today, and then we'll talk to you again tomorrow.